Okay, so we're seeing a real shift, aren't we? The old ways of optimizing for search engines, well, they're not quite cutting it anymore.
Not entirely, no. It's become much more about optimizing for the actual search user. That's the fundamental change.
And that's because the algorithms themselves have evolved so much?
Exactly. Google systems now weigh user behavior very, very heavily. It goes way beyond just keywords and links. We're talking about freshness, user proof, intent gravity, discoverability. These are now paramount.
Right, the whole package.
It is. There's a great quote from Ramon Eichelmans on this. He said, "I find I'm currently trying to fix tomorrow's problems with today's tools and yesterday's algorithms. Not ideal, but better than using today's tools and methods to fix yesterday's problems."
That really captures the challenge, doesn't it? Trying to keep pace.
It does. And that's our goal today, really, to unpack this move from traditional SEO towards, well, search user optimization, or SUO.
And part of that, you mentioned discoverability, involves rethinking information architecture too.
Yeah.
It's not just the URL structure anymore.
Precisely. Information architecture now has to encompass everything that guides the user and the crawler. Think internal linking, how you categorize things, labeling, filters.
All the things that impact how easily someone finds what they need.
Exactly. These used to be more UX concerns, but now they're core to SUO. They have to align with search intent. It's all interconnected.
Okay, so let's get into the nuts and bolts. How does modern search actually work behind the scenes?
Well, at a high level, Google has this flow. It starts with crawling, that's trawler finding the content, then rendering, where things like HTML render WebKit headless process the page, JavaScript and link extractor finds more links.
Okay.
Next is indexing. Systems like Alexandria and WebMirror organize it, handle duplicates, and crucially, this is where SegIndexer comes in. We'll talk more about that.
Right, the gatekeeper.
Sort of, yes.
Yeah.
Then you have ranking and re-ranking. Mustang, Ascor figure out the initial order, but the nav boost uses behavior signals. Freshness Twiddler looks at how recent it is. Web Chooser Score helps pick the best version.
And finally, it gets served up.
Correct. The Google Web Server, GWS, coordinated by SuperRoot, delivers the results. Snippet Brain creates those little previews you see, and Glue pulls in things like images or news.
You highlighted SegIndexer there. Why is that particular system so important now?
Because SegIndexer acts as this tiering system. It categorizes content based on how fresh it is, its behavioral performance, which it gets from NavBoost, and its overall perceived value.
And if your content ends up in the wrong tier,
If it gets pushed down into the deep archive, the Terra Google tier, it's essentially invisible. It won't surface in results.
so keeping content fresh and performing well is non-negotiable.
Absolutely. You need regular updates, you need to prune pages that just aren't performing, and your internal linking needs to strategically point towards your most valuable stuff. SegIndexer isn't judging quality directly, maybe, but it prioritizes what other systems deem worthy for fast access. Stale content is dead content.
Makes sense. You have to keep feeding the beast, so to speak.
In a way, yes. Audit regularly, update strategically.
Okay, so how do SegIndexer, RankBrain, and BERT fit together in this picture? They all sound like they're related to quality and relevance.
They are, but they play different roles. Think of it like this. SegIndexer is the bouncer at the club door. It decides what gets considered for ranking based on those signals, freshness, behavior via NavBoost, links, crawl frequency.
Got it. So it's the first hurdle.
Right. Then RankBrain is like the focus group moderator inside the club. It's a machine learning layer, watching how users interact with the result. Clicks, dwell time, pogo sticking,
So does the user seem satisfied?
Exactly. RankBrain uses that feedback to adjust rankings. If users bounce right off your page, RankBrain notices. That's why your intro and delivering value quickly matters so much for RankBrain.
And BERT.
BERT is the editor-in-chief. It's a language model that understands the meaning of the query, the nuance, the context. It looks at sentence-level relevance to make sure your content actually linguistically answers the search.
So write clearly for humans.
Absolutely. BERT gets natural language. So SegIndexer lets potential contenders in, RankBrain checks audience reaction, and BERT ensures the language matches the need. They work together.
That brings us neatly to behavioral diagnostics. You mentioned pogo sticking, but there's also query slippage and query growth. Let's break those down.
Sure. Pogo sticking is straightforward, if damaging. User clicks your result, hates it, bounces straight back to the SERP to click something else. Big negative signal. Intent mismatch.
Clear failure. What about query slippage?
This is a bit more subtle. Daniel Foley Carter coined the term. It's when your page keeps showing up for the same number of queries in Search Console. but your clicks are dropping.
So the visibility is there, but the ranking position has worsened.
Precisely. As Carter put it, if your page maintains query counts but clicks drop out, this is usually seen as queries slipping from one position group to another. The page has lost ground, but the content haven't been devalued. You've lost ground, maybe slipped from page 1 to 2 for some terms, but Google hasn't necessarily decided the content itself is bad.
Interesting distinction. And query growth.
That's the positive side. Query growth is when your page starts ranking for more unique search queries over time. It's a sign you're gaining visibility, building topical authority. Google sees it as an increasingly valuable resource.
And how does Google track and use these signals?
Systems like NavBoost are constantly processing this, using data from Chrome users, real-time SRP interactions, high pogo sticking, query slippage. Those put you at risk of demotion.
While query growth is rewarded.
Correct. So tactically, you have to nail the user intent right there above the fold. Deter clicks from people looking for something else. Fix friction points on the page that cause frustration, and track those query counts and positions carefully.
Because, as the saying goes,
if a click leads to frustration, it counts against you. Simple as that.
This focus on user satisfaction leads us to intent gravity.
Yep.
Sounds like more than just answering a simple question.
Oh, much more. The old idea of a linear sales funnel, it doesn't map well to how people actually search now. Journeys are messy, non-linear. Google's own quality guidelines reflect this. User needs are complex, layered, often subjective.
So intent gravity is about pulling the user deeper.
Exactly. Content with strong intent gravity doesn't just answer the initial query. It anticipates the next question, the related tasks, the underlying need. It pulls the user towards a full resolution.
And the user intent orbits framework helps visualize this.
Yes, it's a useful model. Think of users orbiting a central topic, making multiple related searches. Your main page on that topic needs to be the gravitational center.
Satisfying the main query, but also linking out or incorporating related intents?
Precisely. Map out that cluster of related intents, the primary one, and maybe 3 to 5 adjacent secondary ones. Then structure your content to let users flow between them easily. Clear headings, distinct modules for micro-fulfillment.
Moving from just answering to actually helping someone complete their task.
That's the goal. Become a task resolver, not just an answer provider.
And intent isn't static, right?
Yeah.
That's where also asked and instant intent shift come in.
Absolutely. Intent shifts constantly based on news, trends, what other users are clicking on. Google systems like Instant Glue, NavBoost, the query understanding models, they adapt in real time.
Like the nice pictures example showing how SERP can completely change.
Exactly. And this is why people also ask, or PAA data is so valuable. It's a near real-time window into those shifting intents. It shows you the questions Google thinks users will ask next.
It's like seeing behavioral SEO in action.
It really is. PAA reveals intent proximity, what's related. It shows volatility, is this topic changing rapidly? It flags emerging questions, potential content gaps.
So how should we use PAA data strategically?
Monitor the PA boxes for your core topics. Are the questions changing? Recrawl and analyze your top pages often. Are they still addressing the current conversation? Add sections that tackle those emerging PAA questions.
Use the timeline features and tools if they exist.
Definitely. See how intent has evolved, and if you update your content based on these shifts, you might trigger a recrawl via Instant Glue, earn that attention, and potentially regain rankings by matching the current user need. You're optimizing for a conversation, not just a single query.
This idea of interconnectedness seems to lead naturally to quantum architecture. That sounds advanced.
It is a more advanced concept, moving beyond thinking of pages as isolated units. The old flat earth model of content, page A, page B, page C, doesn't reflect how Google or users see relationships.
So quantum architecture is about building an ecosystem.
Exactly. It's about intentionally engineering your site to mirror the real-world connections between entities, topics, and the typical paths users take. You build an intent-weighted ecosystem where pages support each other.
What are the building blocks of that?
You have your primary intent hub, the main page for a topic cluster, then micro-fulfillment nodes supporting pages for related tasks or questions. Entity anchoring is about clearly defining your subject matter, helping knowledge graphs connect the dots.
And linking them together semantically.
Right. Semantic linking using anchor text that actually reflects the user's intent, pulling them through the site. And freshness cascading, updating, supporting content strategically to send freshness signals back to the main hub.
So identify hubs, map the nodes, link them smartly, keep the cluster fresh.
That's the process. Identify primary intents, map the micro-fulfillments, architect the semantic links using intent phrases, and layer updates across the whole cluster. It works because it aligns with how Google uses entity graphs, assesses topic authority, and analyzes user session behavior.
All these ideas, behavior, intent, structure, seem to culminate in this concept of search user optimization, SEO. How is this truly different from good old SEO?
It's a fundamental mindset shift. Traditional SEO often focused on, let's be honest, ranking factors. Keywords, links, technical stuff, getting traffic.
Yeah.
SEO starts with the user.
Their psychology, their goals.
Yes. Their decision-making, the why behind the search, the emotional context. As the saying goes, if you think like a site visitor, you think like a search engine. SEO prioritizes understanding those needs first, then building the content and experience around that. In today's behavior-first ranking world, user satisfaction is the ultimate currency.
And Google's trying to model this satisfaction with its own algorithm of the mind.
That's a good way to put it. Systems like BERT and RankBrain are attempts to emulate human preference, human understanding. SEO is about aligning with that emulation by genuinely satisfying the human user.
The outline mentions 3 lenses for applying SEO.
Right. First is emotional intent recognition. Look beyond the surface query. What's the real need? Reassurance, confidence, speed. Adjust that emotional layer too.
Okay. Second.
Search reasoning models. Align your content with where the user is in their journey. Are they just exploring options, evaluating specifics, ready to transact? The content needs differ.
And the third lens.
Behavior-first optimization. This focuses on the feel of the experience. Is it clear? Does it build confidence? Does the user feel like they've successfully completed their task? It's about optimizing the entire interaction. So SEO isn't just tactics, it's a philosophy of designing around the user.
And this ties into the work Doran has been doing, looking at behavioral metrics and the recent algorithm leaks.
Absolutely. That ongoing analysis strongly supports the idea that these behavioral signals are increasingly central to how Google assesses content. SEO provides the framework for improving those signals.
To understand user behavior better, the discussion brings in information foraging theory and the attention economy. How do these apply?
Information foraging theory basically says users act like animals foraging for food. They look for information-scent clues that suggest a page has what they need. They assess patches of content and the effort to get the info.
So they won't work too hard if the payoff isn't clear.
Exactly. And that ties into the attention economy, Herbert Simon's idea. We have so much information available that human attention becomes the scarce resource.
And Google measures attention.
Oh, yes. Dwell time, scrolling. Did they refine their query after visiting your page? Did they click multiple results? These all indicate engagement or lack thereof. SEO tackles this directly.
Wow. What are the tactics?
Minimize cognitive load. Improve readability. Aim for a Flesch-Kincaid score in the 60-70 range. Use simple language. Chunk information logically. Use visuals, lists, clear headings for mental relief.
Make navigation easy, make it fast.
Crucial. Minimize friction. Fast loading times, no annoying interruptions. Build clear, fast paths to the information payoff. SEO is about preventing attention failure, cognitive fatigue, information abandonment. Make it easy for the forager.
But there's a risk, isn't there? If everyone optimizes for the same SRP features, content can become very similar, almost an echo chamber. How do we avoid that?
That's where stacking information gain comes in. A lot of content just rehashes what's already ranking and aims for the SRP, not necessarily for adding real value.
So information gain is the difference.
Yes. It's the delta, the new value your content provides compared to what's already out there. Is it original? Is it deeper? Is it genuinely helpful in a way others aren't?
And Google actively looks for this.
Increasingly, yes. Think featured snippets, passage ranking, the new AI overviews. They often reward content that provides distinct information gain.
How can we consciously stack this gain?
Go beyond the obvious answers. Provide decision matrices, expert quotes, unique data, maybe a flowchart. Leverage Maslow's lens, connect the information to deeper human drivers like safety, belonging, esteem.
Use the EAV model.
Yes, the entity attribute value model brings clarity and structure, which itself can be a form of information gain. And crucially, bring your own unique perspective, your personal experience. That's inherently valuable and hard to replicate.
This feels critical, especially as we look beyond Google towards AI-driven search engines. The landscape is changing again.
It really is. We're moving from traditional search engines more towards recommendation engines. They blend search, large language models, LLMs, knowledge graphs.
So content isn't just fighting for rank, but to be cited, summarized by AI.
Exactly. Your content needs to be seen as a reliable source for the AI. The primary result might be the only result someone sees the AI summary.
How do these AI systems prioritize content? What do they look for?
Clarity is huge. Factual precision. Good crawlability, obviously. Freshness still matters. A solid presence in the index. Structured data helps immensely. Clear entity linking.
We see different blends of sources in things like Google's AI overviews, Bing Copilot, ChatGPT, Perplexity already.
Right, they weigh traditional web results, their own knowledge graphs, LM capabilities differently. But the underlying need for clear, reliable, well-structured content is common.
So what does SUO mean in this context? Optimizing for AI.
It means being entity complete, defining your terms clearly, being factually extractable, making information easy for the AI to pull out accurately, being multimodally appealing using text, images, video, and still being emotionally resonant for the end user who might see the AI's output.
What are some tactical actions for this AI future?
Structure your facts clearly lists, tables, use schema markup, use clean, consistent entity labeling, add relevant multimedia, beef up your about page and any entity-specific pages to establish authority. Focus on clarity over just word count.
This is already happening with ChatGPT plugin citing sources, Perplexity's model, Google's AI overviews.
The shift is underway. We need to prepare our content now.
Which brings us back to structuring content effectively. The final focus is entity modeling and EAV.
Yes, because modern SEO, especially through the SEO lens, is fundamentally about defining and describing entities, people, places, concepts, products in a way that both humans and machines can unambiguously understand.
And the EAV framework is key for that.
It's a very practical framework. Entity, the thing, attribute, its characteristics, value, the specific detail of that characteristic. Think running shoe entity, cushioning type attribute, maximalist foam, value.
Or CRM software entity, pricing model attribute per user per month, value.
Exactly. Or vitamin D supplement entity, dosage attribute 5000 IU value. It provides structure.
Where should we focus on implementing EAV?
Product pages are obvious candidates. Comparison posts benefit hugely. Any page acting as a hub for a specific entity. It makes the information much clearer and, crucially, much easier for LLMs and knowledge graphs to parse and trust.
This structured data helps build entity authority over time.
It contributes significantly, yes. It demonstrates you understand the entity comprehensively. The SEO checklist here is identify your core entities. List their key attributes, use schema.org vocabulary if possible. Provide consistent, accurate values, present it in structured ways like tables or definition lists.
This has been incredibly detailed. It really paints a picture of search evolving from optimizing for machines to optimizing for, well, human behavior and needs mediated by machines.
That's the heart of it. The shift to search user optimization isn't just a new trend. It feels like the fundamental way forward. Understanding the user, their intent, their behavior, their cognitive processes is key to sustainable visibility.
It's about creating content that doesn't just tick boxes, but actually solves problems, resolves tasks, provides genuine value.
Precisely. We need to look beyond the old metrics of just rankings and traffic and focus on the signals that truly indicate user satisfaction and information gain.
And a final thought then, as these AI systems become even more dominant.
The principles of SEO become even more critical. We need to start thinking of our content not just as pages to be ranked, but as reliable, structured, valuable building blocks for these new AI-driven ways of finding information. The question shifts to, how does our content best serve both the user and the AI trying to serve that user?